Welcome viewers, Dr. JWA. Yesterday in the Australian Royal Commission into Antisemitism, pro-Palestinian groups took the floor to question David Ossip, the Jewish leader, on what appears to be foreign conflict matters as being an influence to domestic anti-Semitism being carried out in Australia. This is episode 2, the Jurisdiction Question series, when a domestic inquiry began looking abroad. When does a Royal Commission quietly begin examining something other than the question it was established to answer? Sometimes an inquiry does not change by rewriting its terms of reference. Sometimes it changes simply by changing the direction of its questions. Imagine entering a hearing expecting the discussion to remain fixed upon anti-Semitism experienced within Australia. The opening assumption seems straightforward. The Commission exists to investigate the treatment of Australian Jews. Its attention therefore appears naturally directed toward Australian conduct, Australian institutions, Australian demonstrations, Australian policing, and Australian civic life. Then the questioning gradually changes. Attention begins moving beyond Australian streets, beyond Australian events, beyond Australian citizens. Instead, discussion increasingly turns toward a foreign war, foreign political leaders, foreign military decisions, and foreign casualty reports. The issue is no longer merely what happened inside Australia at this point. The inquiry drift appears to ask whether understanding Australian anti-Semitism first requires examining the conduct of a sovereign nation thousands of kilometres away. And that moment raises a jurisdictional question. Not because international events are irrelevant. International conflicts plainly influence domestic emotions. The question's different. At what point does context become the inquiry itself? Every domestic institution possesses an organising centre. Remove that centre and the inquiry begins orbiting a completely different subject. I therefore invite a question that extends beyond individual witness. If the Commission's mandate is to examine anti-Semitism within Australia, what analytical threshold justifies progressively relocating the centre of the inquiry toward a foreign conflict? That question is neither pro-Israel nor pro-Palestinian. It concerns institutional discipline. It concerns whether domestic inquiry in Australia preserves public confidence by remaining principally focused upon the domestic question in Australia entrusted to it. And perhaps the most significant issue raised here is not what was asked. It is why those questions became what appears to be legitimate and necessary to answer an Australian question at all.